Welcome back, everybody. On Law Matters this week, we're going to take a look at a very common issue, one many of us can identify with, maybe perhaps Rohan can. We're talking about dog bite liability. What is said under the law? And are there provisions under the law for breeding and also for commercial purposes of dogs? The liability of the dog owner and when it becomes your full responsibility, we're going to flesh that out as well. Dog bite liability is our topic this morning, and attorney Anthony Williams is here to help us to see through the issue. Good morning.
Morning.
You have any dogs yourself?
I don't.
Don't have any dogs?
And probably if you have been bitten, you may call us and tell us about that experience. And the numbers are 1-888-991-239-829. There they are, 931-6093-969-3705.
I know the U.S. is a very litigious society, and they have very stringent rules about dogs and care of dogs, and if the dog does something to somebody and all of those things. Are we as meticulous in terms of the law here in Jamaica?
Or what the law says?
Well, first of all, we have an act called the Dogs Liability Act, Dogs Liability Interest Act. And Section 2 of the Act states that every owner of every dog is liable to compensate any person who has suffered any injury or injuries or in relation to their dog. So if their dog injured any person or sheep or cattle.
Ooh.
Yeah, so person, sheep, or cattle, then that owner of the dog is liable in damages for any such injury. Now, in order for liability to be proven, the person who got the bite, right? The law says they do not need to prove any previous mischievous propensity in the dog. What that means simply is that you don't need to prove that that dog, Rowan's dog,
Been provoking you.
previously or normally is a dog that bites people or will attack you. You don't need to prove that. In other words, you don't need to know anything about the dog.
Yeah.
Simple. As long as the dog bit you, then the owner would be deemed liable.
What about the case of provocation? If the person who was bitten was
Yes.
provoking the dog?
Okay, in that particular case, it would be an exception. So if the person, in other words, the dog is there unmolested, yes, and the person go and molest the dog, interfere with the dog, it's a totally different thing.
Okay.
Right?
So
Yeah.
it's a natural application
Yes.
then, fair complete, just like
Yeah.
life itself.
Yes.
If you go and you defend yourself
Yes.
and so on. What determines the owner of the dog, apart from out of domestic purposes?
Yeah.
If there is a guard and he's at a premises, he's handling
The
the
handler.
dog, and the dog somehow bites somebody, is it his responsibility or is it the company's responsibility?
Well, it is not the handler's dog. It is the company's dog. And therefore, in law, the handler would be responsible. No, the owner would be responsible.
The owner being
Which
the
is the
company,
company.
Which is
the security
right?
company.
So the security company would be responsible for the dog or dogs biting or injuring that person or sheep or cattle. Now,
Even if it was an immediate act of malice, you can see it, it was malicious, and the guard definitely wanted the dog to bite the
well,
man.
you see, under the Dogs Liability Act, you don't even need to prove malice. You just need to prove that the dog bit you.
The injury.
The injury. In fact, you don't even need to prove negligence. You don't even need to prove that the security guard company or whoever the owner of the dog is acted negligently. That's what the Act says under Section 2. So you don't need to prove negligence. You don't need to prove that the dog had a previous mischievous propensity. And also, you don't need to prove that the owner knew of that previous propensity.
No, all right, what I'm trying to get at then, if it can be proven that it was a direct act of malice
Yes.
by the guard,
Yes.
why should I then, the owner of the company, take
Yes.
responsibility?
Okay.
If you as the guard set the dog on me maliciously.
Well, each the law deals with the owner of the dog. And the owner of the dog is not the guard. So there are causes of action. You can file a suit against the security guard company who owns the dog, and he can also join the security guard, yes, as a servant or agent of that person, right? Now, if you can prove malice, then all be the case. But I'm saying that you don't necessarily need to prove malice. It is for the security guard company having been sued to take action against
security
guard. So they can.
So it becomes an internal matter after that.
It can become an internal matter. Yes.
Jamaica is a land of strays. We see them everywhere.
Yeah.
When a dog has puppies, and the puppies, nobody takes real responsibility for them, and they're out and they're straying, and you know that is Mass Joe dog puppy, and the puppy bites you. Is Mass Joe liable?
All right. So that comes to who the owner of a dog is. The owner of a dog.
But you cannot establish who the...
You know it's Mass Joe puppy. It looks just like Brutus.
Yeah, you see, you look at the circumstance, right? And this is what Section 3 says. Same section, Section 3, who is the owner of the dog. The owner of a dog is regarded as the person who occupies a house or premises where that dog was kept or allowed to be kept.
So if a stray come in and I feed him, is my dog?
Yes, you are regarded as the owner of the dog. If you allow the dog, not just feeding the dog, but if you, in other words, let us say that there are 3 dogs here, right? None of us own the dogs. But I, in particular, feed that dog, allow that dog to remain in my house or yard or premises, yes? At the time when the dog committed the injury, any person who allow or approve or sanction the dog or dogs to remain in that space where you have control
is your dog.
Your dog. So in other words, no one need to prove that you bought the dog, you have a name tag on the dog. You don't need to prove that. As long as you allow that dog to remain in your space, you're liable.
Like anything else, there are certain nuances. And I want to find out now, you, in the domestic cases, have your dog at home. Someone trespasses on your property. You're not liable in that case, eh? Because you did not invite them on
an intruder.
You did not, not necessarily an intruder. Well, an intruder in the sense of the word, because the person is on your property without being invited.
Yes.
You're not liable, eh?
Correct.
Good.
Postman fall in that?
Well,
if he comes inside.
Or the man to come cut off your light. Yes, the man to come cut off your light.
But
come to read the meter, cut off your light, and your dog bite you.
Yes.
Because when they come to the gate, they have to knock
first. Is he seen as an intruder?
Well, as Ron said, you'd have to knock, right?
Yes.
But again, always remember that it is strict liability, okay? Yep. And so it does really protect intruders, yes?
No, but I really want to get to the man who come to cut off your light.
Yes.
Your meter is on the house, on the side.
Yes.
Inside.
Yes.
And you don't pay your light bill for 3 months and him come to cut off your light.
Yes.
If he comes onto the premises, open your gate and Zena tie up.
Yes.
And he comes to cut off the light and Zena bite him.
Yes.
If you bite him, of course, he must knock.
Well,
of course, anybody come there must knock.
Is Rohan liable for that bite, or the man tough luck to you shouldn't come?
Well, in those circumstances, because of the strict liability nature of the act, you'll be liable.
But how can you be?
You'll be liable.
No. You have to alert to the person that you want to enter their property.
What if you're not at home?
But you don't know if this man is a bona fide light reader.
Well,
you don't know. A meter reader. You don't know that.
I agree.
You don't know that.
And we'll have to look at the circumstances may differ, right?
Yes.
But as I said, the law is a strict liability.
And all right, I'm going to ask you something else too. Ridley, morning. First
good
caller.
morning.
What's up, Ridley?
Hi, Ridley.
Hi, morning.
Morning.
Yeah, I have a different scenario. What about a situation where you're attacked by a dog, and you have to run and you fell or something like that and break your arm? The dog didn't bite you, but because of the dog you were injured.
Well,
all right, thanks.
Good on. Good on.
It's a good one. The mere attacking of the dog, yes, caused you injury, yes? So if we look back at the section, it says any dog, the owner of a dog is liable for any injury caused to that person. Now, injury can mean a direct bite, or injury can also mean that as a result of the dog attacking you, you suffered injury, yes? And in my opinion, I think it will fall into that category, all right? So that, in Ridley's case, I think would cover under that.
There was a talk one time that it was the law for you to have on your gate, beware of bad dogs.
Yes.
Is that
so
true?
That has to be, yeah.
All right, let me just say something about that, because that is very important, right? Now, there are several persons who have that sign that says beware of bad dogs. But there's also an act called the Occupiers Liability Act. And what the act is saying is that it is not enough for you to put a sign that says beware of bad dogs. If you knew that, for example, the height of your wall, right, does not offer protection to passers-by or persons legitimately coming to your gate, the postman, the delivery man, the cable man, etc., or just anybody. So this sign beware of bad dogs is not enough, right? Because as the occupier of the premises...
No, but we do understand, no, hold on, we do not understand that can't be sufficient. And if the wall is low, that the dog can jump over, of course you must be liable.
Right.
But we are talking about entering the property itself.
Yes.
If you have the sign, beware of bad dogs, and you still enter, you cannot be liable.
Why?
You cannot be liable just
pay your light.
Why?
You cannot be, but you have the sign. The sign is clear there. It's emblazoned on your gate. Beware of bad dogs. And you still, without approaching or contacting anyone inside, you enter at your own peril, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
if the sign, the big sign is there, why would you want to do that?
Well,
if the water says that shark don't swim, why would you go into the water?
Well, you see, as I said,
why would you do that?
It is there to protect persons, right? And that is why the law is structured the way how it is.
The light man have
right?
to do him job daily.
Notice it says that you don't need to show any previous propensity in the dog. You don't need to prove negligence.
Just get bitten.
So
that doesn't make sense.
Barrett, break this up for me, though. Morning.
Good morning.
Please, have you ever been bitten by a dog?
Sure.
Okay.
Ooh. How can we help?
It was so terrible. I could not walk.
Oh dear. Sorry. Sorry for that.
What's your question this morning?
Well, like, if somebody go in a yard to thief and then bitten by a dog, they should not be sued.
No, certainly not.
What if a thief goes into a yard? No?
Well, those are, the trespassers thing, it's different.
Yeah.
There's a practice in
All right,
some...
Barrett, thanks.
Thank you. There's a practice in some communities to leave the gate open with bad dogs on the inside.
Yeah.
The mere fact that the gate is left open, is that in and of itself some kind of infringement on any kind of law?
No. The law is basically saying that once you are the occupier of a premises, right, or a house, you leave your gate open, you, the owner, must know the circumstance of your premises. Now, I can leave my gate open, and I know that there's no dog there, there's no puppy, there's no injury that's likely to occur. But if I have a dog or dogs, and I leave the gate open in particular, I mean that...
And the dog run out and bite
the dog run out and bite someone.
You must be liable.
You must be liable. Clearly liable.
Blinky, morning. Blinky.
Good morning,
Go on, Blinky.
Rowan.
Big up yourself, Blinky.
Bless up every time, man.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I'm Patricia K, man.
That's cool, man.
Good morning.
I know the barber alone did I, if I myself did I look to,
You did I look too?
Yeah, man, but like how she gone, me I have to go sell back my ring.
Yeah.
So, what me want to say now, if a dog bite you and you bite them back, nothing can come out of that.
I remember such a case in Jamaica here too. I remember a dog biting a man and he bit back the dog. I remember that. No, I swear, I remember such a case right here in Jamaica. The dog bite the man and the man bite him back.
I never know if you do me liquor time and catch him and hold him and bite him back and never come out.
You did that?
Bite him, go show him my more teeth, more than me still.
Yeah.
So So I'm going to charge him for the 2 extra teeth that show me a 32 and him a 34.
And him have that. Blinky.
Yeah, man, so them just charge for the 2 extra teeth, man.
You are hilarious.
Blinky, big up yourself. All right, my virgin.
Yes, man, I'm
All right.
the program every time.
All right, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
I used to live on a road and someone used to leave their gate open. And there were there's an old couple that used to, walk up and down the street. And they had to stop walking because the dogs kept coming out. So it was a nuisance for them. And they couldn't exercise and they were afraid and they couldn't walk because there are these big dogs and they'd leave the gate open occasionally.
We want to caution occupiers or owners of premises or owners of dogs to exercise more care, more caution. Ensure that your gates are properly locked. Ensure that the beware sign, if you have one, it is just really to alert someone that dogs are there, although you don't need to put the sign. So putting the sign there doesn't really obviate liability from you. But it's just a matter of just letting you be aware, okay?
One final point before we go. What is the normal compensation? Or it differs?
Well, it differs from case to case because compensation would have to do with the nature of the injury or injuries that you receive. And so I may get a minor injury and a dog may rip you to pieces.
But you generally get money and...
Oh, yes. So a person who has been bitten by a dog, first of all, they should seek medical attention as quickly as possible.
Rabies.
Yes, the various, you have rabies and other attendant consequential diseases, etc. And then they should seek legal redress.
Folks, don't walk near Zena. We're going to take a quick break.
No. She's a well-trained and proper dog. She not jump out and bite anybody. Good dog, Zena is. Thanks so much, Anthony,
Thank you very
for
much.
your time this morning.
We're going to take a quick break. We've been showing a series of videos, the Samsung Smart School videos, and one more is to come right after this break.